Good morning. I'm Sachiko Gamboa, sitting in for Robert Tan. Join us as we follow the money, from the financial choices that shape your daily life to the bigger forces driving the economy. The headlines: some top business names and former cabinet officials support the push to make Sherwin Gatchalian the new Senate President. In Pampanga, search and rescue operations end at the site of the collapsed building as questions remain over what caused the tragedy. And Alex SyCip carries a name tied to some of the country's biggest business institutions. Now he's building his own through SyCip Builders. Catch him on Follow the Money straight ahead. There is a push to install Sherwin Gatchalian as Senate President, and some of top business and civic leaders are backing it. Among them include former Senate President Frank De Leon, former Finance Secretary Ramon Del Rosario Jr., former NEDA Director General Shalito Habito, former Central Bank Governor Jose Crisha Jr., former Education Secretary Armin Luistro, George Barcelon of the Philippine Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and PhilExport President Sergio Ortiz Luis Jr. They came out with a statement saying there is a need for a change in Senate leadership to restore public confidence in the upper chamber ahead of the Duterte impeachment trial. The group said Gatchalian is the, quote, right leader for this moment, citing his record and work as Finance Committee Chair. Senator Juan Miguel Zubiri had revealed there are plans to form a coalition to install Gatchalian as Senate President. But Zubiri admits the minority lacks the numbers to replace incumbent Senate President Alan Peter Cayetano. Authorities officially end search and rescue operations at the site of the collapsed building in Pampanga, shifting to retrieval operations. The Unified Command System said rescuers no longer detected any signs of life at the site. So far, 4 deaths have been confirmed, while 17 others remain missing. The government said it would provide financial assistance for the 26 survivors.
Sisiguraduhin natin na bago sila umuwi sa kanilang mga probinsya ay may financial assistance sila. At least ito yung mga survivors. Kung meron na nasawi, we will make sure na yung pamilya nila matulungan din.
A new fuel price hike is now in effect this week. Diesel prices are up nearly 2 pesos a liter, gasoline by 1 peso and 60 centavos, and kerosene 1 peso and 45 centavos. The Department of Energy says the country's fuel inventory is currently at 45 days. Coming up, at 30 years old, he is building a legacy of his own as founder and CEO of SyCip Builders. Alex SyCip joins us after this break. Keep following the money. Welcome back to Follow the Money. The SyCip name has long been part of business Philippine history, from SGV to SyCip Law. So what happens when a young founder from that family decides to build something of his own in a notoriously tough industry? We find out this morning with Alex SyCip, founder of SyCip Builders. Good morning, Alex, and welcome to Follow the Money.
Hi, Sachiko. Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for being here today. So for those of you who don't know, the SyCip name is really so famous around the Philippines. So your great-grandfather built AIM, he built China Bank, and then your lolo built the SyCip Law, and his brother actually did SGV. That's correct?
That's right.
So there's a lot of pressure around that name. So when you were growing up, did you feel that pressure, or do you think it opened up doors for you?
You know, Sachi, I think it did both. The pressure was definitely there, but I think that pressure came from my own internal self. I put that pressure on myself. My parents never really pushed me to say, oh, you have to do this, you have to do that, but I'd sort of raised the challenge. And I always wanted to sort of uphold the legacy and continue it in my own way.
Right. So I know that you actually just started out SyCip Builders. So you founded it. It's been like 3 years now. So it's a pretty new company. So what do you think you've learned from your grandfather, your great grandfather, and your entire family? And like, how did you bring that legacy into something that you've built today?
So I'd say the number one value that I've learned from my family is that of integrity. There is no substitute for integrity. It takes a lifetime to build your name and only a second to destroy it. So everything that we do, everything that I do in my company is built on that. Our clients trust us. We have to build that trust. We have to earn that trust. And most importantly, we have to maintain that. What's the purpose of doing business if you don't do it in an honest and integral way?
Yes. So like that's every industry actually. Your family isn't everywhere, like from law to finance, and now you're doing something in construction. So maybe you can walk us through like what inspired you to build that company. Why didn't you just do it? Why didn't you just follow your grandparents' footsteps, or why something on your own?
I always wanted to do my own thing, even from a very young age. It just so happened that during the pandemic, I was working for a construction company, and that is where I learned what I know now, and that's really where I found my passion. I said to myself, this is exactly what I want to do. I don't want to be stuck behind a desk. I don't want to be stuck behind a computer. I love being on the field. I love getting down and dirty. I love being on the job sites. And from there, things just sort of fell into place, and this is what I love to do.
Yeah, I know. You're actually in your construction boots right now.
I am.
And I know that you also even bring sometimes like a laser and like a measuring tape. So it's really clearly seen that you just love getting there down and dirty. And that's really inspiring because not a lot of maybe like business owners like to get into the weeds of things. So I just wanted to ask you, were there any challenges that you might have faced in building your business the past 3 years? And then how might you have overcome them?
There have been a ton of challenges in the last 3 years in my company. Even up to today, we still have a lot of challenges that we face, but what matters is how we tackle them. Every new problem faces a new opportunity. It allows us to resolve these problems and open new doors. No? But these challenges, they're solved with teamwork. I rely on the experts on my team, the architects, the engineers, the project managers to help me overcome these challenges, whether it may be, for example, in the site, what should we do if there's a problem with plumbing, if there's a problem with electrical works or mechanical works? How do we bring the trades together so that we can work it out as a team? But ultimately, it comes down to effective teamwork.
Yes, and honestly, the integrity, as you said, also with the team. Do you have like any experiences or like any stories that you might have gone through with your team and how they, like any solutions that they suggested in a problem that might have happened?
So one of the biggest problems we faced early on was definitely implementing the right kinds of systems, because when you're in construction, you have so many different trades working at the same time, so many different moving parts. It becomes hard to track every single thing. And as a result, you have to really rely on strong internal processes to sort of tie everything together. You can't just say, bahala na, or we'll figure this out as the days go by. You really have to set everything up in place before a project starts. So as you're executing, things run smoothly. And what's important is this, to be able to do that repetitively. You can't scale a company without having adequate systems. Mm-hmm. And it's these sorts of internal processes that really allowed us to scale. Yeah. But there's still no substitute for good teamwork.
Yeah, so aside from good teamwork, having a good team, and you said really good internal processes, is there anything else that makes SyCip Builders really different from the other builders, other contractors?
SyCip Builders, I'd say, we're an all-in firm. So we are transparent with our clients, we are accountable, we are results-driven, and we don't settle for mediocrity. We always strive to be excellent in everything that we do, whether it's the quality of the works that we put out, whether it's the way we communicate with clients, or whether it's the timelines we adhere to. We always try to be the very best version of ourselves that we can be. And I make sure to uphold that value amongst all my employees. We're very disciplined, we're very motivated, and we're very accountable.
Oh my gosh, that's a very, very noble answer. I could see the passion in your eyes, and I'm sure all of your employees who might even be watching you can really say that, yes, I agree that Alex SyCip also upholds all of those values in his everyday life. So shifting gears here, more on like the macroeconomic side. So from the inside, the high-end residential market right now, what do you think is the most interesting trend or shift that has been happening nowadays?
That's a really good question, Sachiko. So, two trends I personally notice in my industry are number one, the need for more personal spaces. When I say personal spaces, I say homes that are designed and built around the client's specific needs, not your generic 4-bedroom house with a den and a pool and a garden. Some clients don't even want pools, they don't even want 4 bedrooms. Some just want a huge master's bedroom for the second floor, especially for those who don't have kids. So the homes are becoming a lot more personable. And another trend I'm also noticing is the need to be more environmentally conscious and sustainable, especially in today's weather. It's becoming extremely hot, and we can't just rely on aircon. So a lot of my clients nowadays are coming to me and saying, how do we maximize sunlight? How do we maximize ventilation? How do we ensure that the house is breezy enough so that we don't have to rely on aircon 24/7? And to build on top of that, they're also asking me, how can we integrate renewable energy solutions into our homes, whether that be through solar panels or rain recycling systems or even solar batteries in the event of blackouts. So I see that there's really a shift going towards more personable and more renewable and sustainable homes.
Oh my gosh, that's really interesting. I think like all of us have also been seeing that shift towards the solar panels within homes and also having the more personable space. And since you mentioned a lot more about maximizing space and maximizing even costs, how do you think the war right now with all of the construction costs are really rising? How do you think that's affecting your business and even the businesses of others?
The global crisis that's going on right now, it is affecting pretty much every industry, especially because we're all reliant on oil, and that trickles down into the smallest materials we use on the job site, from nails to steel to finishing materials. Everything is really being affected. Fortunately, though, in the last few weeks, prices have pretty much stabilized, but still, it's still not what it was a few months ago prior to the war. So as a result, we're having to find ways to sort of position ourselves so that we don't get affected as much.
Right. So do you recommend that people build their homes right now, or should they delay and pause?
I think no one can really predict the future, but if you're willing and able to build a home right now, you're able to lock in prices with your builder through strong contracts and clear accountability and transparency, then absolutely you should by all means go and build. And funny enough, on my end, in terms of client inquiries, it's the most it's ever been right now. So I'm not seeing a slowdown in construction, and that holds true for residential, commercial, and even retail.
Really? Wait, why do you think it increased nowadays?
Frankly, I don't know. I think people just they want to build. They want to push through with their businesses. They want to push through with their projects. They're not going to let a global crisis slow them down. And no one can predict the future. So again, if they have a clear plan in mind, they want to do it, I say go for it.
Yes, like so to secure the material costs or even to secure that asset already, they're already investing in it right now. And do you think there's a shift in demographics? Is it more like Gen Z? Is it millennials? Do you still have those clients now, or is it still in like the boomers and in that generation?
It's still a good mix, actually. The clients I have are a good mix. The younger clients are coming out in the form of retail and commercial clients. So these guys, they are very hands-on. They're very particular with the kinds of stores that they want, the kinds of office spaces that they want, restaurants. They want something that's more experiential.
Right. So I think you are also the founder of Nano. So that's like the fast retail spaces. Also Philheim for the cabinet. So is that what you're referring to when you say like the younger clientele, that's where they're heavily putting their money into, like building out F&Bs, building out retailers? Do you have any clients in specific that you might be able to share with us?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. So I think you can see some of the products on screen, but these guys, they have a lot of, there's a lot of demand right now for retail, for commercial. I don't see that slowing down, frankly, especially because it's driven by the younger generation. They're a lot more aggressive, I'd say. Like they really want to get out there. They know what they want, and they are willing to move heaven and earth to get it.
Oh, wow, that's really, really inspiring, especially since you're also 30 years old. You're building a name for yourself, as you said. And I think also you're one of them who's super aggressive also. Do you happen to have any advice maybe for entrepreneurs who are starting out or other Gen Z or millennials who want to be as aggressive as you said?
I think there's no substitute for hard work. If you put your mind to it, you just have to work, keep your head down, and sort of don't listen to the noise that's around you. You have to stay focused, you have to stay disciplined, and you have to persevere. Be resilient.
Yeah, but easier said than done, right?
Absolutely.
Easier said than done. Maybe if you happen to have anything that you want to be able to say to the viewers here, do you think that they have any trends that they should really look out for when it comes to the retail space, the commercial space, and the residential space?
I would say the one thing that would tie all of these spaces together, or frankly anything in business, would be value. You have to create value, and the money will follow. But without value, I don't think there's a point in chasing trends and chasing hype. You have to be the person that people go to. You have to solve real problems. You have to create value.
How do you create value though for someone who's like just started out for like the past 3 years, right? Like you have so many other competitors. They've been in the industry for like the past 10, 20 years. And then you're coming into this industry where it's just so competitively fierce. Like how do you make that value, that competitive advantage?
It's definitely a double-edged sword, but I think one of the biggest advantages that we have is our energy. We build a lot faster. We are a lot more hands-on. Sure, we don't have the track record of other firms who have been in the industry for 30, 40, or 50 years, but that is also our edge. You deal with us from the get-go. You don't get shuffled around middle management. You have clear and accountable systems that you can rely on. So that is exactly something that we have to implement on a daily basis to exactly what you said, prove ourselves against these more established firms. But ultimately, I do think that it is this energy, this hunger that enables us to do what we do.
So yeah, you're like really, I can really see that you're so motivated to be able to create that established company right here. So do you think that you asked help from other people? Do you have a mentor maybe that you ask help from? Because I know you've been in the industry for the past also 6 years, but I'm sure you're still asking help from other people.
My team. And they're the reason why they're on my team in the first place. These architects, these engineers, these guys have decades of experience. You know, they have 20 years of experience, 30 years of experience as senior site architects, as project managers, as operations heads. And so on a daily basis, I really look to them for advice on how to deal with situations. I'm not a technical person. I don't claim to be, but I am the one who steers the ship. I sort of bring the entire crew together, and it's my job as captain of the ship to rely on my teammates to help guide me. And so to answer your question, it's my teammates who I rely on.
That's really nice. I'm gonna stop you right there because you said that you're not a technical person. So correct me if I'm wrong. You're not an architect. You're not an engineer. You've not had that like technical background, as you said. So where do you get to learn all of these things? Do you just trust your team and say like, okay, engineer, like I'm gonna trust you. Like the measurements are this. The construction is supposed to be like in this manner. Like how do you make those checks and balances for yourself?
So on the more technical side, yes, I do rely on these experts. But on the more artistic side, it's still up to me to determine the materials to procure, whether or not they pass certain quality standards, aesthetic standards. I also make sure that the sites are kept in optimal condition, right? You don't need to have a technical degree to see that the paint is not straight. you have to be hands-on. And I'd say like when I go into the sites, I really check every little nook and cranny to make sure that we uphold the highest quality, whether that be the terminations between a wall and a ceiling, the plumbness of a wall, or the way a tile was installed. You still have to check with visual cues.
Right. And it seems like you're a very detail-oriented person. Do you think you get that from your grandparents, your dad, your mom? Like, is that something that they pass down along to you?
I'd say so. I'd say so, definitely.
Is that something like you talk about in the dinner table and like they say like, hey, Alex, like I want you to grow up to be like a hardworking person? Is that something like they really wanted you to be at the get-go?
Well, they said my parents would tell me to be a good person, and whatever else comes out because of that will follow. But ultimately, it's be a good person, be honest, work with integrity, and treat people well.
Yes, and I really agree because I'm sure that all of these establishments right now in the Philippines, they have all of those values as well. And finally, Alex, my last question for you. How do you follow the money?
How do I follow the money? Oof, that's a good question, Sachiko. I would say you have to create value. When you create value, the money will follow. Don't chase trends, don't chase hype. You want to be a source for people, for clients to go to trust. And you can only do that by creating value. So whether that's in construction or retail or F&B, you have to be a source that people can go to.
Yes, wow, very, very well said. And thank you so much, Alex SyCip of SyCip Builders. And that's all for today. I'm Sachiko Gamboa, sitting in for Robert Tan. Every day will help you make sense of the financial choices and economic forces that shape everyday life. Thank you for watching. Keep it here on Bilyonaryo News Channel and always follow the money.